They say some hotels have memories, and some, they never forget who stays. There's one hotel on the outskirts of town, old, quiet, cheap. But people don't go there because it's affordable. They go because they don't know the story of room 309. Daniel was just another traveler passing through, a salesman who had been to so many towns. They all blurred together. He was tired. He needed sleep. And the hotel, the Winslow, offered him a room at half the price. He didn't ask why. He should have. At the front desk, the woman gave him a look that lasted just a little too long. Her smile, it didn't quite reach her eyes. She picked up the brass key from the wall. Room 309. Her fingers trembled as she handed it to him. Her skin was cold, and just as his hand closed over the key, she whispered, "If you hear knocking, don't open the door." Daniel smiled politely, thought maybe she was just trying to spook him. But her eyes, they weren't joking. He walked toward the staircase. The carpet muffled his steps. The hallway stretched long and dim. The walls lined with old photos. Faces staring out. Eyes that seemed to follow him. Room 309 was at the very end. The number, barely visible, scratched, like someone had tried to scrape it away. The key slid into the lock. It turned. Twice. Slow, stiff, like the door didn't want to open. Inside, it smelled of old wood and something faintly metallic. The wallpaper peeled in long strips, like something had clawed it away. The ceiling fan swayed, even though there was no breeze. He tossed his suitcase by the bed and sat down, rubbing his face, exhausted, trying to ignore the sinking feeling in his gut. The first night was quiet, at least until 3:09 a.m. That's when he heard it, knocking. 3 slow knocks, software, deliberate. He sat up, staring at the door. No footsteps, no voices, just silence. After the knocking, he didn't move, didn't breathe. And eventually, morning came. By daylight, he laughed it off. Must have been the wind, the old building settling. Right. The second night, at exactly 3:09 a.m., it happened again. 3 knocks, but this time, he heard breathing, shallow, ragged, on the other side of the door. Then a voice, low, cold, whispering his name. Daniel. He stared at the doorknob. It twitched, just slightly, like something was testing it. He backed away, sat in the far corner of the room, eyes on the door, until dawn broke. He didn't laugh it off this time. He didn't sleep either. The third night was different. Daniel sat awake, waiting, eyes fixed on the door. 3:09 a.m., 3 knocks, hollow, heavy. But this time, the handle turned, slowly, deliberately. The door didn't open, but the whisper came back. Daniel. This time. It wasn't behind the door. It was inside the room. He spun around. No one there. But the mirror. The mirror showed something else. A figure, standing right behind him, pale, hollow-eyed, mouth stretched open in a silent scream. He turned. Nothing. But in the reflection, closer, it raised a hand and knocked on the glass. He ran. Door unlocked without the key. Hallway lights flickered. Every photo, their eyes followed him. He reached the front desk. No one there. Just the guest book. Open. To his name, and under it, the words, checked out, 1963. Daniel stepped back, hands trembling. His breath clouded the air. Cold, too cold. The lobby lights buzzed, then blinked out. Darkness, footsteps, slow, heavy, behind him. He turned. Nothing. But he could feel it. Something watching. Closer now. Daniel! He stumbled backward, his hand brushing against the guest book. The pages flipped on their own. Faster, faster, names vanishing, ink bleeding into nothing. Then silence. Until the bell on the desk rang. Once, twice, 3 times. A key slid toward him. Room 309. His room. But he was already checked out, wasn't he? The elevator chimed, its doors sliding open. Empty. Daniel felt his feet move, even as his mind screamed to run. Step after step into the elevator. The doors closed behind him. The buttons were all dark, except one. Basement. He didn't press it. The elevator began to descend anyway, past the lobby, past the first floor, past anything marked. The display simply read, "Below." When the doors finally opened, it was not the basement. It was room 309. The door creaked open, waiting. The whisper returned. "Welcome back."